Right. Well, I suppose we all know who they are now. The question for you to find out is, which one of these seemingly innocent people is actually a cold-blooded murderer? Like all good investigations, we'll find the answers by asking the suspects. I'm sure they'll be more than happy to part with information if they want to clear their names. Just be aware that some of them will have something to hide. In fact, nearly all of them have something to hide. Investigations are never that simple. However, I am fairly certain most of the suspects will have information on the other suspects that we can exploit in my inquiries. So, what I suggest first is that you listen carefully as I ask those questions. You can then use that information as you listen to the others. Eventually, all of them are sure to dish the dirt on each other, and when that happens, you'll have more than enough lines of inquiry to pursue. Well, what are you waiting for? Let's jump to it! Carol Singer, you don't look like you're old enough to be retired. Did you take early retirement?
You're right, I'm not old enough to retire. However, I objected to the school being closed down, and therefore, they retired me themselves. I could either retire by chance or not get paid.
Do you know anything about the plans for mid-trimming school?
Yes, I do know what's going to happen to the school. Mid-trimming school is going to be closed down, and they're going to turn it into a supermarket.
Mr. Frost, do you like Bob Scratchit?
No. Actually, I despise Bob Cratchit. I mean, he's only been here for 10 years. He moves into that great big manor, and what does he do for the village? Nothing. Not a thing. In fact, he wants the new grocery store to come in, and that's going to hurt all of the local merchants. He doesn't do anything for us at all.
Holly, Reed, what do you think about Bob Scratchit? Are you sorry he's dead?
I hated Bob Scratchit. He has been nothing but trouble since he moved into the manor. His dog savaged the postman, he's refused the villagers access to public footpaths, and he's prevented the villagers' use of the village green for the traditional summer feast. The village green happens to be on his land. In short, I'm not sorry he's dead. Someone has done the entire village a favor.
I saw the police talking to you at the post office a couple of days ago. What was the matter?
Someone else in the village obviously agreed with me, as they have been sending Bob Scratchit poison pen letters. The police came to visit me the other day to discuss the letters he had been receiving. Apparently, they all carried the mid-trimming postmark, and they thought I might know who had sent them.
Declan Hall. I've seen a few of your mincemeat pies during the rounds this evening. Did you bring any confectionery for this evening's gathering? And if so, what?
Yes, I brought some things. Brought a large batch of mince pies, some Christmas cake, marzipan, fruit cake. Yes, fruit cake seems to have gone missing, as I haven't seen it all night tonight. Some people have been complaining that they haven't had any.
Did Bob Scratchit pay for the food and drink this evening?
Bob Scratchit paid for something? No, he didn't pay for anything. Miser?
Miss Bunton, I heard you muttering about your attic the other day. What's the problem with it?
Oh Lord, you know what it's like to get Christmas decorations down. This man left all kinds of things in my attic. It is just a mess up there. Yes, I have muttered to myself. I have griped and whined to everybody that I've talked to. It's really, really hard at Christmas to get up there and get my decorations, and you can tell I just love Christmas, and I have lots of decorations.
I saw you and Jacques Frost chatting the other week. You seem to be arranging an evening together. Is there anything going on between you?
Jocks had said that he would come over and he would help me kind of sort out that attic. Bless his heart for saying that he did it. The only problem is he didn't get there until fairly late at night, and he was worried about what the neighbors might think. You know, small town, it does gossip. And so he wanted to avoid any scandal. So he was very careful about leaving the house late at night because he was afraid the neighbors were watching.
Mr. Tingle, do you know anything about the new supermarket that is supposed to be coming to the mid-trimming city?
Yes, Bob Scratchit has been very supportive on this venture of this new business, although I really think that it's going to be detrimental to my business. I've been pretty sad about it. But he seems to be railroading this scheme through, with or without our support.
Mr. Tingle, did you contribute to any of the food this evening?
Yes, I contributed quite a bit to this year's food. I brought some clementines, some mixed nuts, and even some grapes for the mulled wine.
Miss Bells, Bob Scratchit is usually given a mention on the village amateur dramatics programs. Why is that?
Bob Scratchit has always been fairly generous with his sponsorship of my local amateur dramatic society, not the least of which he allows us to use his building downtown in the village. In return, I give him a little bit of a large acknowledgement in our program every show. I was quite surprised that he didn't want to provide the food and drink for the carol singers this evening. He always does that free of charge.
I saw you tip a sachet of something into a glass of mulled wine earlier. What were you adding to the drink, and who was the drink for?
They always serve mulled wine at these sort of events, and Chris always makes it too sour for my taste, so I make sure that I carry a few packets of sweet and low to sweeten mine as we go.
Mr. Noel, you raised objections when it was announced that the carol singers would have their party at Bob Scratchit's manor. Why?
I raised the only objection when it was announced that Bob Scratchit was going to host the end of the year singing party. Everyone in the village hated Bob Scratchit, including me. I thought it was a recipe for disaster. The village committee had arranged it. I'm not at all surprised about the murder. Leading the Scouts has taught me about being prepared, and I suspect the murder was planned a long time ago.
You disappeared earlier this evening. Where did you go?
I actually left the party early and tried to have a private conversation with Bob Scratchit. I found him in the lounge with a plate of food he had taken from the kitchen. He was alive and well when I left him.
Who found Bob Scratchit dead first?
He was just there, comme les morts, like the dead. It was just a frightening experience. His face, it just looked like he was in so much pain. It was very distressing, very distressing.
I saw you help serve mulled wine this evening. Who asked you to help?
It was Chris Tingle. He asked, Mademoiselle, s'il vous plaît, would you help? I said, oui, of course, because, I'm so kind. So I helped this Chris and Jacques and Declan.
Miss Spine, do you have to visit Bob Scratchit very often in your line of duty? What for?
Yes, I have to deal with Bob Scratchit all the time. He is always rubbing people the wrong way, and I have to get in the middle of it because they can't figure out how to deal with him. He's always having his windows smashed by hooligans or villagers or people who maybe are mad at him. And he is always making complaints about everybody in the village. I am there all the time.
But what can I do? He was just a nasty piece of work. I'm always there, but it doesn't make any difference because I never can help him out. And if I had my way, the entire village would be in the mid-trimming jail. Just saying.
Miss Spine, you usually decorate your home with lots of lights. You didn't decorate this year. Why is that?
Well, usually I put lights all over my house, everywhere, but money's been a little tight this year. So, with electricity being up so high and everything, I just decided to forego it this year.
Right. How are you all getting along? Find out anything you didn't already know? Probably not. Villages are rife with gossip. Anyway, let's get down to business and look at the corpse. You could say we are starting from scratch it, but then perhaps not. Murders aren't the best time for jokes. Still, if it's any help to you at all, the pathology team have concluded, even at this early stage, that Bob was poisoned. They suspect it was something he ate or drank. They'll be able to give a better indication of what poison was used when they've had a chance to examine the contents of his stomach. But for now, that's all we know. Anyway, as you are all doing so well, perhaps you'd like to continue the questioning. I'll just stay out of your way. Anyway, we will continue with the interrogation questions.